Hello, welcome to our channel. If you're new to our channel, my name is Cindy and Rich is behind the camera today.
Hello.
We post Airstream related content every Tuesday. Today's episode is going to be a spin-off of previous episode on how to protect your dishes and your glassware while traveling in your Airstream. In that episode, I talked about these little packing cubes that I made myself from a pin interest pattern, and today we're going to talk about how we make these. And what I'm going to do additionally to that is talk about a different way to finish off the edges, and I'm also going to add how I made these little covers for the foam padding in between to help protect your dishes. So let's get started. So let's talk about the items that you're going to need to build your little packing cube. First, you're going to need a couple of pieces of fabric, one piece for the outside, one piece for the inside lining, and then other pieces of fabric as you wish to cover the little padded pieces. I recommend getting a 1/4 yard of the outside piece and the inside piece, and I also recommend washing your fabrics and ironing your fabrics before you cut them. The next thing you need is some threads in various colors depending on your fabrics. Some Fusible Interface. This will attach to the outside portion of your cube in order to stiffen the sides of your cube and the bottom of the cube in order for it to keep its shape. Another thing you're going to need is the foam pack stuff for your foam pieces. This is about a 1/4 inch foam, and we will be using that for your foam inserts. Lastly, and this is entirely up to you, I like to do templates of the sizes of the pieces that I'm going to be cutting out, which makes it a lot easier to cut out. These don't have to be anything fancy. These were cut out from Kleenex boxes and cereal boxes, and I just write the measurements on them and how many pieces that I'm going to be cutting. So let's start cutting. This is our first piece, and the first pieces are going to be on the outside of the cube. This is a little square template that I made of the outside of the cube, and we're going to be cutting 5 pieces. The dimension of this square will be listed in the description below. So all you do is on the wrong side of the piece, you're going to trace around with a pencil and just cut each piece out, and you're going to be cutting 5 pieces. So the next item that we're going to cut is the Fusible Interface, and this is going to be ironed on the outside or the wrong side of your outside fabric. So we're just going to use the same template as before, and we're just going to trace around with the pencil like so. We're going to cut 5 of this one. So the next pieces we're going to be cutting is the inside lining, and these are going to be slightly different templates, so I have 2 templates for these. The taller piece, which is almost a rectangle, is going to be the outside of the cube, and the smaller piece, which is a square, is going to be the bottom pieces of the cube. So you're going to need 4 of these rectangles and 1 of the bottom side of the cube. And the reason these are slightly different than the outside of the cube is these are a 1/4 inch difference in size so that the inside lining can lay very nicely inside the cube. I also modified the pin interest pattern a little bit to make a nice finish over the top of the cube, and that's why this pattern is a little different. And again, all the measurements for these templates are going to be in the description below. So let's get started. So the next thing we're going to do is cut out our foam pieces. These are the pieces that are going to be inside the cube that are going to protect your dishes or your glassware from being knocked around. So we're going to cut 2 of these little pieces and 1 of this big piece. The dimensions for the pieces of foam are going to be listed in our description below, and so let's get cutting. So the last pieces we're going to cut is the cover for your little foam pieces. You can always use the foam pieces without the cover, but I like the cover because it kind of dresses them up and makes them look cute. So the covers for each of these pieces are going to be just slightly bigger because you're going to add in a seam allowance. And again, the descriptions for these pieces are going to be listed in the description below. And these pieces are going to be slightly bigger than the pieces that they will cover, and it'll act like sort of a pillowcase, as you can see. So we're going to cut 2 of these pieces for the big piece and 4 of these pieces for the smaller pieces. So the next step is to put your Fusible Interface on your outside pieces. And as always, follow your product instructions, but in this case, I can see that my Fusible Interface has a shiny side and a dull side. The shiny side goes against the wrong side of your fabric, like so. And you run your iron over it. It's going to take probably 30 seconds on a high setting to get this to fuse. that should probably do it. It's pretty good. As you can see, it's stuck to the bottom of the fabric, and it'll cool down and it'll give the fabric a bit of stiffness so that it will stand up. And we've done 2, and we're going to be doing 3 more for all 5 of our pieces, 4 sides and the bottom. So the next step is we're going to pin our pieces together, and what you want to do is make sure your pattern is all running in the same direction and going the direction that you want it to go. So we're going to start with pinning 2 sides of the cubes together, right sides together, just like so. This is going to be our bottom piece. And we're going to sew a 3/8 inch seam down to the bottom of the piece, and we're going to leave a 3/8 inch opening at the bottom right there. So we're going to start at the top and leave 3/8 of an inch open on the bottom. So as you see, we finished the sides of the box. We ran our 3/8 of an inch seam along each of the sides, right sides together, and we ironed out our seams so that they're nice and flat. And the next step is going to be putting right sides together and making the bottom of the box. So we're just going to start by pinning it, and we're going to pin it all the way around. And the opening that you put in the bottom of your seam is going to help you take these corners. This is really the only tricky part of this whole project, and you're going to do it twice because you're going to do it for the inside lining as well. You will be repeating steps 4 and 5 for your inner lining. The next picture shows the corners after I have stitched them. So as you can see, we have our 2 cubes. One is turned right side out. One has the right side inside. We're going to be putting this one inside of this cube, and we're going to be lining up the seams inside like so. We're going to have some overhang on the top. So that's going to be your finished edge. But that's basically how it's going to look once it's put in here. What we're going to do is we're going to pin it inside, and we're going to run a little seam and to hold the sides into place once we get that done. So as you can see, I have pinned the lining inside the little fabric basket. And the pins are on the outside because I'm going to be going in and about 1/4 of an inch down from the outside of the lining. I'm going to be doing a little stitch just to keep the lining in place while we finish it. And the overlap here, if you see the overlap, is about 1.25 inches, because once we finish the stitch around the side, we are going to fold this 1/2 inch, and the best way to do that is to iron it, and then we're going to fold it over 3/4 of an inch, like so, to finish our basket. So as you can see, we're almost done with our little fabric basket here. We have gone around the outer edge of the basket, as you can see, with a 1/4 inch seam to hold the lining in place. I ironed a 1/2 inch seam, not really a seam, but a 1/2 inch around the fabric to help when I fold it over. As you can see, then you have a 3/4 of an inch fold over for the top of your basket that's very easily pinned into place like I've been doing. And all you'll do at this point is you could either finish it on your sewing machine or you can hand finish it. I prefer the hand finishing look just because I think it looks better, but whatever works for you. So the next step is going to be doing our casings for our foam pieces. So all you will be doing with that is right sides together, sewing up 3 sides, leaving the long end open as such, pivoting at the corners. You'll be turning this inside out, like so, pulling out all the corners, and it's very helpful also if you press it when you finish pulling it out and turning it inside out. And then you'll just be putting your foam piece inside. I've got one already inside like this. And you'll just be finishing up the top part with just like a little fold over of both sides, like such. And you'll just be finishing that with a hidden stitch. So here's one that's finished, and we are almost done. So we have our finished basket here, and the finished padding with the cases, and so this will just go in like so with the glasses. Everything will be protected. Nice Airstream mug. And these little side pieces go in like such. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked additional content, please subscribe. We put out Airstream related content every Tuesday. And if you like this video, please give us a thumbs up and check out some of our other videos. And we will see you down the road.